Esperanza 243. You are here to watch and or listen to me read a book out loud. It is a personal book, actually, called Aquatica. This is part
13. Good grief. Can you believe we're already on part 13? This is incredible. And I've actually done all the calculations and stuff like that. I've already gone over the future pages. There are going to be 15 videos in this playlist. Shorter, much shorter than the other playlist, which is really cool. By the way, before I forget, I'm pretty sure this is going to be up by Christmas. So I want to say Merry Christmas to you all and Happy Holidays for those who do not celebrate Christmas. I want to make sure I include everyone here. I am that kind of person. I do believe I'm just going to go straight to the book. As much as I want to give you guys an update, this is not a vlog, this is a book reading. So, I'm actually going to go over part 12 a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the reading. Just to let you all know, I will be reading the sequel to this book, which is Dangerous Clans. In part 12, Garnet talks to her mom. She actually tells her pretty much everything that's going on, especially in the past 15 years of her life, which is a lot. So a lot of time passed. And this was actually where, this is actually the part where I actually did a major change to the book, which, in my opinion, is awesome. Because I've always been hesitant about this one part in the book, and finally fixing it is just like a ton of bricks off my back. But anyways, Garnet finally is at peace with, being a mermaid and just putting it at rest that they do not need to research into the family history to find out which mermaid or merman that they're related to. Just the fact that they are descendants means that it doesn't really matter who it is, because they are descendants. After this conversation, Amber realizes, which is Garnet's mom, Amber realizes that since everyone believed that she committed suicide, she figured she needed to talk to her sister, Kaylee, which surprisingly her name is not after a gemstone, which is kind of a clue saying that Kaylee is not a descendant, which is technically not true. I mean, she is a descendant, she's just never going to turn into a mermaid. Same thing with Garnet's cousin, Marion. They're both descendants of mermaids, mer people. They're just not going to be, they don't have two-color hair, which means they're not going to become a mermaid, and they're not going to have any weird traits like Garnet and her mom did. To me, that's like a disappointing thing, but at the same time, it's relieving because you don't really want to have your entire family be underwater when Garnet still needs to make sure that she has a connection to the land people, which is why I set it up this way. Pretty cool. I believe we ended part 12 with... Oh, that's right. We ended part 12 with Garnet being really upset, having to decide staying in Aquatica, staying underwater because of her new mermaid life, and after talking to Aunt Kaylee, so she ends up swimming down a tunnel blindly, and Amber remembers that there are bad mermen on the loose, and they have returned after being banned. So, I'm going to go ahead and start reading. I'm excited. Are you? Without watching, she bumped into someone. A merman turned around as she looked up. She wiped her nose as she sniffed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Well, it's alright. Just be careful around these parts. It's pretty dangerous." Garnet nodded in confusion. She went ahead and swam on. She glanced around. What parts? there wouldn't be another exit for a long time. She did a double take as her eyes widened with shock. There were other mermen around. One of them carried a small box and grew impatient. The other was quite cross and stared at the merman she bumped into. Merman, sorry. The crossed merman became furious. The situation of these three mermen seemed familiar to her. No, 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 no! He yelled. I thought I told you two not to bring those down here. It could kill the fish. We do not want the king to know we're back. We're trying to make sure this is foolproof before doing that. She gasped as she recognized his voice. The crossed merman turned toward her. Hearing the ocean waters swish behind her, she kept looking forward and swam slowly to let him think she wasn't listening. Whoa. I can't believe my suspicions were right. All this time they were mermen. That would explain the different men I heard the night I was staking out, she thought to herself. She paused for a quick moment, realizing something. Wait, if that's them, then this tunnel must lead to that cave I found. She swam on even faster. Garnet looked back to find them. She could still see the mermen, but just barely, which meant they could barely see her. Garnet laid down flat and kept her eyes on them. The partners swam away toward the big area of the tunnel while the carrier stayed in place. She widened her eyes. An amethyst, she whispered. Her heart was beating fast. She ignored the sound of her heart and prayed her family would be all right. Minutes had passed, and the two partners did not come back. I can't take it. She took off toward the merman who was holding the small box. When she passed him, her fin slapped him in the face. His eyes widened in shock as he accidentally dropped the box. He turned toward her. Hey, what was the meaning of that? The box landed on the ground with a light thud. Its lid popped off, and all kinds of little stuffed animals swirled about. He gasped. No, he hissed. No, 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 no. He continued repeating the word as he grabbed as much toys as he could and stuffed them back in the box. No, 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 no! Garnet continued swimming and accidentally bumped into the two partners. Oh, I'm so sorry, she rushed. She looked at their faces. Holding in her gasp, she gave them a confused expression. Didn't I pass you earlier? You were the one who heard us, the bossy crossed partner whispered. His eyes widened with rage. You eavesdropped on our conversation, didn't you? There was a short pause. Didn't you? The other partner spoke up. Come on, man. I'm sure she didn't intentionally eavesdrop. You were talking pretty loud when she passed us. He's right. I didn't mean to overhear what you said. She paused and then smiled. I'm Garnet. I'm actually new around here. The two partners narrowed their brows in confusion. What do you mean? The gentle partner asked. Like new in this tunnel? She chuckled. I mean I'm new to the mer world. Their eyes widened in surprise. I became a mermaid earlier this week. The bossy partner suddenly pulled his partner close. They had a whispered conversation. When the two finished, they turned toward her. Would you like to help us? The bossy partner asked, as they swam back to the merman with his box. She bit her lower lip. We're setting up a little party for the king of the merfolk. He smirked. Maybe give him a good scare with the surprise. Garnet looked at the other partner. He looked nervous. I don't know. I would like to meet the king. She continued looking at the gentle partner. As she did so, the bossy partner saw that the merman was gathering the last of the swirling, falling toys. He pushed the box away, and then the merman. He didn't really want her to know about them. He looked back at Garnet with an innocent smile. I have to say, I don't know if I'm ready to meet him. The gentle partner sighed of relief. You'll miss one heck of a party then, the bossy partner noted. He then realized she was hesitating. What's the matter? I have to tell you, I bumped into someone before seeing you. He had a box full of, well, it looked like stuffed animals. His eyes widened with shock and a hint of anger. He dropped the box when we bumped into each other, and the lid just popped off. I didn't mean for it to happen. The gentle partner chuckled. The other shoved him. Would you like a toy to carry back home? The main partner asked with a sly grin. She nodded excitedly. He swam to the box and took one out. Here you go. Be careful not to rip it. She squealed with joy. Oh, thank you. My aunts would love this. She swam back to the waterlogged cave she found earlier that week. The gentle partner stopped her for a second. Where are you going? I thought you were heading the other way. She gave him a blank look and then shook her head. Oh, right. I was heading back to my mom. She chuckled. Now that I have something to give for goodbye to my aunt, I'm heading back to the beach. He gasped. On second thought, I'd better take that toy back, the main partner said. She gave him a shocked look. These were handmade, you see. Only a certain amount was made. If people find out there's a new type of stuffed animals... She was about to ask him a question when the other partner beat her to it. Let her off, Doomcough, he muttered to him. It's not like she's going to do show and tell to all her friends and family. It's not even light out yet. He looked at Garnet. Go on, Miss Garnet. I'm sure your aunt will like the toy. Just make sure she doesn't break it. She smiled and swam off to the underwater cave. The mean partner glared at him. He looked back at the mean partner. Come off it! She doesn't know. If she did, she wouldn't tell. How would you know? He yelled. One smile and you go soft. I never should have put you for a freaking partner. He shoved his partner. The two began to physically fight, spitting out hurtful words. Good grief. At that same moment, Aunt Kaylee was parking her car at the beach parking lot. I'm glad I'm doing this now, she whispered. If I had done this in the morning, I would end up looking for Garnet. She got out of the car, took a suitcase she had bought at a small airport, and walked to the rocky parts of the beach. Thankfully, the place was open, and she was able to buy a nice, airtight suitcase. When she approached the rocky part, she had to climb up with the suitcase. Garnet was already climbing the rocks at that point. When she reached the part where she could relax, she grabbed the towel Miriam left and dried herself off a bit. Aunt Kaylee reached the top and climbed down on the other side. That was when the suitcase accidentally hit Garnet. Ow! She cried. She gasped and looked up as her aunt looked down. Aunt Kaylee, what are you doing here? Kaylee looked at her with wide eyes. I would ask you the same thing. Her niece glared at her. She sighed. I was bringing you a new suitcase. I didn't think you would come over here after talking to me. Garnet sighed, leaving some tension behind her. Aunt Kaylee, I need you to do something for me. After your attitude earlier, I should say no. Her niece gasped at her in horror. but seeing as you need this so much, I'll do it. Garnet grabbed the stuffed animal from her bucket. I need you to give this to the police. Her aunt looked startled and confused. Inside it should be something toxic. On my way through a tunnel Mom and our relative found, I bumped into those men I told you about. I was able to bump into them again to take one so I could try to take it to the police in the morning. I'm afraid that might not work, seeing as they might find out soon. She paused and rolled her eyes, realizing how crazy that sounded. Wait, those men you told me about? You mean the men who made stuffed animals with real fur? Garnet shushed her. Yes, that's them. They're mermen, Aunt Keeley, and according to the partner in charge, King Adelaide doesn't know they are a pack, which has to be a bad thing. My best bet is to take this to the police where they will study it. Maybe they'll find something incriminating. I don't know the city very well, but the mermen have a lair that's quite far behind the lighthouse. Then it must be in the park. There must be a long, jagged rock wall somewhere in the park. Keeley paused. But what am I to say? They surely won't believe me when I tell them my niece happened to bump into the criminals. You won't. Just tell them you got the stuffed animal and the other information from an anonymous tip. You have to make them believe you. They have to set a trap for those guys at sunrise. Otherwise, they could be gone within an hour or two after that. She frowned with panic. Aunt Keeley gave her a look. Her niece remembered something. Did you pack any towels? Yes, I just hope the hotel won't charge me for it. She shook her head lightly. There was a sudden big splash from the ocean. They looked toward the sound, over the rocks. Kaylee gasped to see her sister and another mermaid. Garnet, you're all right, Amber cried. Mom, Amethyst! Why are you here? Soon after you left, I remembered hearing rumors from certain fish saying that bad mermen were out hiding not too far. I had to make sure you didn't bump into them. She smiled worriedly. Thank goodness you didn't. Plus, you left your shell behind, Amethyst noted. Actually, I did bump into them. With my smart thinking, I got away, with some evidence, too. Amber stared at her with bewilderment and confusion. Garnet smiled. Incredible! Amethyst whispered. About a day after I turned into a mermaid, I heard this strange air pocket sound. I found this hole that led me right to them. They've been making stuffed animals with real fur. Amber and Amethyst gasped. Not only that, I think they are hiding something inside them. What it is, I'm not sure. This is too much, her mother said. She thought for a moment. Land police won't be able to help as much. Yes, they will, Garnet interrupted. The police should have modern lab equipment. They'll be able to test if the fur is real and the stuff inside them is toxic. Amethyst sighed. Imagine what Uncle Adelaide would say if he found out. Amethyst grunted, while Garnet agreed. I'm sorry if I keep changing Amethyst's voice. I knew I had one set for the previous video and I can't remember what it was. I think we need to talk to him about the merman while Aunt Kaylee goes to the police with the evidence I found. Come on, Garnet, let's get going, Amber said. Her daughter nodded. Garnet looked at Aunt Kaylee. Would you mind doing a couple of more favors? Her aunt shook her head. Give these back to Marion. Tell her I love her, and I'll call her as much as I can. She handed the bucket and Marion's towel to her. Kaylee gave her a hug. She hugged back. I love you. I love you, Aunt Kaylee. I'm sorry I acted so harsh earlier. It's all right. Kaylee pulled away from the hug and turned toward her sister.
Amethyst cocked her head a bit. "Someone is coming," Amethyst whispered. "Let's go." "Hurry, Aunt Kaylee. The police needs to know what's going on." She nodded and headed to her car with a stuffed animal and Marion's things. Garnet and her family decided not to use the tunnel to get back to Aquatica. Amber, Amethyst, and Garnet arrived at King Adelaide's castle. Garnet was leading her family through the halls. Not paying attention, she bumped into Ezra. "Hey, Garnet, what's the rush?" She looked up and gasped.
"Ezra, thank goodness you're here. We need to speak to King Adelaide. It's important."
He widened his eyes with surprise. "Are you sure you need to speak to him now? He's asleep." She gave him a sad look.
"I'm positive. If we don't talk to him before sunrise, something bad might happen."
He studied her face a bit and sighed. "All right, then." He made a motion. "Follow me. I'll take you to the Grand Room." Amber smiled and poked Amethyst. She looked at Amber and narrowed her brows in confusion.
"It looks like Mr. Ezra has a little secret,"
she whispered. They looked back at him as they followed. They looked at each other, smiling, as he and Garnet made small talk on their way to the Grand Room. "You're right," Amethyst whispered back. "They know each other quite well." In less than a minute, all four of them entered a really big room with special columns. The Grand Room looked like it was part of an ancient building than a cave. "I'll be right back with His Majesty." "I sure hope he won't get upset, waking this early," he muttered as he left. Within 15 minutes, Ezra and the king arrived in the Grand Room. "This better be good, otherwise my sleep was wasted." And I am actually going to stop there. Good grief. Okay. As you can tell, actually, we just reached the climax. We are just waiting for the solution now. Actually, the solution that kind of already has started, considering. But, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And up next in part 14, you actually get to see the solution of the climax, the action part of the climax, which is pretty cool. I think I did a pretty good job. The conclusion, well, meh. It's all in a matter of opinion, really. If you're just tuning in for this particular part of the book, you picked a really bad spot. Go ahead and check out the other videos for Aquatica, parts 1 through 12, sorry. Because this is part 13, not 14. I'm going to go ahead and bid you all adieu. I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am the Esperanza 243, signing out.